Welcome to Horizon Online Learning Academy. We have been preparing for various competitive examination through our channel. We have discussed certain terms, certain concepts, certain books in this channel. Today, I'm going to discuss a very important term for us, that is objective correlative. We know that the question based on objective correlative will be there for any competitive examination based on English literature. So this video is going to address all those aspirants who are preparing for examination like HSA, NET, SET, KTET, etc. In this video, I'll be discussing various questions, and while explaining the answers, you will get to know the term pretty easily. So let's go to the slide. The first phrase we are going to look at is objective correlative. Let's look on to the first question. Who coined the term objective correlative? Who coined the term objective correlative? We usually connect the term objective correlative with T.S. Eliot. But it was not T.S. Eliot who coined the term. The term was coined by Washington Allston, A-L-L-S-T-O-N. The phrase objective correlative was coined, was introduced by Washington Allston. He was a 19th century American painter and poet. Okay, now let's move on to the second question. This will help you to understand the significance of the first question, right? Second question, who introduced and popularized objective correlative as a literary theory? Who introduced and popularized objective correlative as a literary theory? We have already seen that it was not T.S. Eliot who coined the term. The term was coined by Washington Allston. So, who introduced the term? Who popularized the term as a part of literary theory? That was done by T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot introduced and popularized objective correlative as a literary theory. He connected the term with literature. Now, the third question. Which essay by T.S. Eliot has discussed the phrase objective correlative? Where did T.S. Eliot first discuss this phrase? The phrase objective correlative. T.S. Eliot first discussed the phrase objective correlative in his 1919 essay, Hamlet and His Problems. Keep this title in your mind. The phrase objective correlative was discussed by T.S. Eliot in his essay Hamlet and His Problems. Let's move on to the fourth question. Which was the book of criticism by Eliot that included Hamlet and His Problems? Look at the keyword. Which was the book of criticism by Eliot that included Hamlet and His Problems? We have already seen that Hamlet and His Problems was published in 1990, but later it was added to a book of criticism by T.S. Eliot. This book is considered as Eliot's first book of criticism. So the question can also be like, which was Eliot's first book of criticism? The name of the book is The Sacred Wood, Essays on Poetry and Criticism, which was published in the year 1920. The Sacred Wood, Essays on Poetry and Criticism, published in 1920. Fifth question. According to Eliot, dash is the only way of expressing emotion in the form of art. Here comes the most important question. According to Eliot, Dash is the only way of expressing. Expressing is our keyword. Expressing emotion in the form of art. That is another keyword. The answer is objective correlative. Here comes the answer to the question, what is objective correlative? Eliot believed that the only way of expressing emotion in the form of art is objective correlative. If you want to express an emotion through an art form, the only way is to find an objective correlative. So this question will lead us to the next question. How can we find this objective correlative? Right? Let's move on to the next slide. Sixth question. What is objective correlative? Now we have come to the explanation of the exact term. Hamlet and His Problems by T.S. Eliot discuss this phrase objective correlative, right? I quote, the only way of expressing emotion in the form of art is by finding an objective correlative. In other words, a set of objects, a situation, a chain of events which shall be the formula of that particular emotion, such that when the external facts which must terminate in sensory experience are given, the emotion is immediately evoked. Eliot wants to tell that the author always has certain emotions to express to the reader. There should be some correlation with this emotion and the object through which these emotions are being transferred to the reader or the audience. So the medium becomes very important, right? When art is to express these emotions, you have to find certain objects or a situation, or it could be events. These objects, situation and events, chain of events, must have the formula. He says that the author must have the skill to extract a formula with a set of objects, situation or chain of events to evoke the particular emotion. What is the particular emotion? The emotion the author intends to express. Okay, so these objects, situation and chain of events should be mixed, should be set together in a particular way so that the expression will be, the emotions will be expressed. When the reader senses these objects, situation or chain of events, the emotion will be immediately evoked according to Eliot. അപ്പൊ എന്താ എലിയറ്റ് പറയുന്നത്? ആ ടേം നോക്കൂ, ഒബ്ജക്റ്റീവ് കോറിലേറ്റീവ്. ഒബ്ജക്റ്റിന് കോറിലേഷൻ ഉണ്ടാവണം. എന്തുമായിട്ട്? ഒബ്ജക്റ്റിന് ഇമോഷൻസുമായിട്ട് കോറിലേഷൻ ഉണ്ടാവണം. എന്താണോ ഓതർ വായനക്കാരനിലേക്ക്, എഴുത്തുകാരൻ വായനക്കാരിലേക്ക് എത്തിക്കാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന ഇമോഷൻ, ആ ഇമോഷൻ ഏത് മീഡിയത്തിലൂടെയാണോ, ഏത് കലയിലൂടെയാണോ എഴുത്തുകാരൻ എത്തിക്കാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്, ആ കലയിലെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒബ്ജക്ട്സോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു പ്രത്യേക സിറ്റുവേഷൻ, ഒരു സാഹചര്യമോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ചെയിൻ ഓഫ് ഇവന്റ്സോ ഇതില് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ശ്രദ്ധിച്ച് ഒരു ഫോർമുല ഉണ്ടാക്കി വേണം കൊടുക്കാൻ. അതായത് ആ ഓരോ ഇമോഷനും നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പൊ ആങ്കർ or laughter, ഇതിനെല്ലാം ഡിഫറെന്റ് ഒബ്ജക്ട്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡിഫറെന്റ് സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ് ആണ് റീഡേഴ്സിന് കാണിച്ചു കൊടുക്കേണ്ടത്. സോ എന്താണോ നമ്മൾ എക്സ്പ്രസ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്ന ആ ഇമോഷനെ പാകപ്പെടുത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് വേണം ആ എഴുത്ത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ കലാരൂപം ആ പ്രത്യേക സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ മെനഞ്ഞെടുക്കാനായിട്ട്. വായനക്കാരൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കാഴ്ചക്കാരൻ എപ്പോഴാണോ ആ കലയുമായി നേർക്കുനേർ വരുന്നത്, അപ്പോൾ തന്നെ ആ ഫോർമുല വായനക്കാരനിലേക്ക് എത്തിപ്പെടുകയും ആ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ച ഇമോഷൻ കാഴ്ചക്കാരനിൽ ഉണ്ടാവുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നു. This is objective correlative. The object should have correlation with the emotion that the author wants to express. So, the object, situation or events used by the author should be able to evoke that particular emotion immediately. This is what objective correlative is. Let's move on to the next slide. Seventh question. Which among Shakespeare's play has an objective correlative according to T.S. Eliot? Okay. In Hamlet and His Problems, T.S. Eliot explains what an objective correlative is. We have already seen that, right? And in the same essay, he brings up an example from Shakespeare's play which has an objective correlative in it, which successfully communicated to the audience the emotion intended by the author, the emotion of the character. Which is that play? The answer is Macbeth. So according to T.S. Eliot, Macbeth has an objective correlative, and T.S. Eliot clearly states in the essay a scene which very aptly renders the emotion, transfer the emotion of the character to the audience through action and events in the play. The scene is the sleepwalking scene of Lady Macbeth. Eliot says that in the sleepwalking scene in Macbeth, Lady Macbeth's mental agony, the trauma, is conveyed through her unconscious repetition of past action. We have seen that in the play, right? She just repeats the action. She was the partner in crime with Macbeth to kill Duncan. She goes on washing her hands. The action of washing the hands is being repeated in the play a number of times during the sleepwalking scene. So, Shakespeare didn't use narration or dialogues to convey her agony. Instead, he used the action. In a particular situation, he created an event, a particular situation, and through the actions of Lady Macbeth, the viewer, the audience get that particular emotion. So art is used to communicate a particular emotion to the audience, and Shakespeare successfully does that in the play Macbeth, in the sleepwalking scene of Lady Macbeth. Eighth question is a contradiction to this. The same Shakespeare lacks objective correlative in a play. Look at the question. Look at the eighth question. Which play by Shakespeare lacks objective correlative? It is Hamlet. Hamlet lacks objective correlative. We know Hamlet as a character overwhelmed with emotions, right? He's a character full of emotions, a lot of emotion. But according to T.S. Eliot, Hamlet failed to convey his agony, his problems to the audience effectively. So Shakespeare failed as an artist, failed to convey that particular emotion of the Hamlet to the audience. Hence, he said Hamlet lacked objective correlative. The 8th question actually leads us to the 9th question. Who called Shakespeare's Hamlet an artistic failure? We have already seen that Hamlet lacked objective correlative according to T.S. Eliot, right? So he called Hamlet an artistic failure. The question is, who called Shakespeare's Hamlet an artistic failure? Obviously, the answer is T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot called Hamlet an artistic failure. The question can be in another way. Which play was mentioned by T.S. Eliot as an artistic failure? The answer is Shakespeare's play Hamlet. We know Hamlet is a very popular character with a lot of emotions in him, right? But according to Eliot, that emotion was not conveyed to the audience properly. Shakespeare couldn't communicate through that to the drama, the art form, properly to the audience. The emotions of Hamlet were not properly communicated. Hence, he called Hamlet an artistic failure. 10th question. To which painting did Eliot compare Hamlet? To which painting did Eliot compare Hamlet? The play Hamlet, the play Shakespeare's Hamlet is compared to a very famous painting by Eliot. The painting is Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa is one of the most celebrated painting, right? But Eliot compared Hamlet to Mona Lisa. Eliot already said that Hamlet is an artistic failure, right? That play is compared to Mona Lisa. Eliot describes Hamlet as the Mona Lisa of literature. He said the painting fascinated a lot of audience. The mysterious smile of Mona Lisa attracted a lot of viewers, but Mona Lisa's emotions, according to Eliot, were not communicated to the audience properly. It lacked objective correlative. So both are same. Both lacked objective correlative. So Hamlet is compared to Mona Lisa by T.S. Eliot. These are the major objective type questions based on objective correlative, the phrase explained by T.S. Eliot in his essay Hamlet and His Problems, published in 1919. Thank you all for listening. Thanks a lot for listening. We will meet in the next video with an explanation of dissociation of sensibility.